Bitcoin just break $14,000 into the upper range and it's on its way to the all-time high. However, my view of Bitcoin just become bearish. Welcome back. My name is Chewy. This is your trading and investing channel, Blockchain Thunder. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you why I become bearish for Bitcoin in the midterm. And I'm going to show you what my strategy is at the moment. So let's dive right into it. In my last video, I mentioned that after Bitcoin break the $14,000, which is the last hurdle, the next target would be the all-time high. However, there are evidence in the chart showing that Bitcoin in the midterm is becoming bearish. Let me show you why do I say that. So the first signal, let's start with the daily chart. And the first bearish signal is RSI. Last week, the RSI reached about 83.27. That was really high. So normally when RSI reaches more than 80, there will be a large correction normally. In addition, there is a huge bearish pattern showing on the RSI, which is also my favorite selling signal for Bitcoin. So what is this signal? First of all, let me start with my favorite buying signal for Bitcoin. As I showed you before in my previous video, look at this line. So for RSI, we have a 1 touch point, 2 touch point, a breakout, and then a breakdown. This is my favorite buying signal right here. After the breakout, come back and retest this line and then starting to move up for RSI. Now, the selling signal is an opposite of this one. We have a look at this line. We have a 1 touch point, 2 touch point, 3 touch point, breakdown, and then breakout again. This is the opposite of this one. So it's best for me to take some profit here because I expect Bitcoin to go down again for RSI in the near future. Now, in my opinion, Bitcoin RSI is trying to form something similar to this one. So it might be doing something like this. The first starting with the pivot point there and then form a touch point here. So it would be something like a touch point here and then go down another touch point and then third touch point, breakout, doing something like this. So it's pretty similar to this one. Now let me show you a second bearish signal here. Let me remove this line. Okay, so the second bearish signal here is the BitMEX index funding. So as I mentioned before, in the last about 1 or 2 months, we have a lot of negative bars. That is really bullish for the bulls. On the contrary, right now we have a lot of 5 positive bars, and this is bearish for the bulls. This is very similar to this situation. When BitMEX index funding is positive, what you should be doing is to sell it, especially when RSI is also high and the bar is positive. You should be selling it. Right now, we have satisfied both conditions. We have a high RSI and we have a positive bars. So this is why I'm starting to sell some of my Bitcoin for profit. Now, here's a third signal, which is the Fear and Greed Index for cryptocurrency. Right now we're in 90. That is really high for Fear and Greed Index. If you take a look at the time series, let's take a look at the max. The only time that we get to more than 90 is at the June 2019, which is when Bitcoin get to the top of $14,000, the last hurdle here. So this is really high. So when everybody is in greed, you should be feared. So this is the third bearish signal for Bitcoin. Now, could Bitcoin just keep going up in the near future? That's still possible. The reason I'm saying that is that look at the weekly. So look at the weekly BitMEX index funding. So it comes with pulse. We have a pulse of positive bars and a pulse of negative bars, a pulse of positive bars, a pulse of negative bars. Right now, there's a possibility that we are forming a pulse of positive bars. In this case, Bitcoin still have some momentum to go up. However, I'm not buying Bitcoin right now because I never buy Bitcoin when the BitMEX index funding is in the positive. I only buy it when it's negative. So I would buy something here or something like here, but never buy it when it's positive. Right now it's positive. So what I will be doing is every time Bitcoin have a breakout to the upside, I will be selling it. Basically, I'm selling every rally Bitcoin has until it breaks down. And that is my strategy for Bitcoin in the midterm. Don't get me wrong here. I'm still bullish for Bitcoin in the long term, but in the midterm, I'm looking to sell it for profit. When it breaks down, maybe even break down to the 12,000, I may be buying it back based on all the indicators. But right now, I will be selling it for profit. Now let's take a look at gold and silver. And this is the gold chart, weekly gold chart. So in my previous video, I mentioned that gold is entering into weekly consolidating pattern, especially showing on the RSI. You can see that we have one touch point, two touch point, a breakout, and then a breakup. Right now it's coming back to retest this line. Now the most bullish pattern for gold is to break down of this line. As I mentioned, if we break down of this support line to the downside and then break out, this would be my favorite trading pattern, just like Bitcoin in the daily. But this is weekly for gold. So if this signal happens, I will be very happy and we will buy some gold right here. Right now we don't know if it will break down of this line. So we'll have to wait and see what gold will do in the next 2 weeks. But this week we have a bearish candle. It hasn't closed yet, but it looks bearish at the moment. This is an engulfing candle. This red candle engulfed the entire green candle of last week's. So this is a bearish pattern. So in my previous video, I said that if gold can push up of this descending triangle to the upside, it will be very bullish. However, if we break out to the upside and then break down again, that will be really bearish for gold in the short term, because this is a typical bearish pattern. If we break out of this pattern and then break into it again, that is really bearish in the short term. Now let's take a look at the daily chart. In the daily today, actually yesterday, we have a huge sell-off. So the reason for this sell-off is that last week the US election finally have a result according to the mainstream media that Joe Biden has won the election. And Joe Biden mentioned in his campaign that he has injected a lot of money into the market to help in the economy. So today we have a huge pump in the stock market, a lot of huge pump. I will be talking about this after the gold and silver analysis. But a lot of funding going into the stock market, and this is why a lot of funding has been pulled out of the gold and silver market, causing this huge crash today. Therefore, it doesn't look really good for gold and silver in the short term. let's take a look at silver. It's pretty similar, but right now silver hasn't breakdown of this support line yet. So this is a little bit better than the gold chart, because this is also a descending channel. Break out of this line, if you come back test it and you didn't break down, that would be bullish for the silver price. So silver looks a little bit better than the gold. Now let's take a look at the silver weekly chart. So silver weekly, we have a 1 touch point here, a 2 touch point. So looks like it has a tendency to break down of this line. So let me remove this. So looks like it's possible that it will break down here right now and then come back and form a 3rd touch point. So if it does so, it can go break down of here and then go up. That would be bullish for the silver. So there's a possibility that silver can keep going down in the short term, but that will make me very happy because it gives me a lot of chance to buy. Now let's take a look at stock market. As I mentioned, because of the United States election results, today we have a huge breakout in the stock market. So let's start with the Nasdaq. So this is the Nasdaq daily chart. You can see that today Nasdaq break out of this triangle and then to the upside. However, in the afternoon, it's starting to crash back into this pattern. This is actually not very good because, as I mentioned, if you break out of a pattern and then break down again into it, that will be really bearish. So apparently today, because of the United States election results, a lot of people think that the Democrat will be injecting a lot of money into the market and that will push the price up in the near term. So that's what they think, and they're starting to buy into the market. But this crash doesn't look very good for the Nasdaq. And if you take a look at the RSI, we have a 1 touch point here, a 2nd touch point, a small breakout, and then come back and retesting it. So if the bulls can push the Nasdaq out of this pattern again, that will be bullish. But if it stays inside of this pattern, that's not looking good for Nasdaq, because there's a possibility that the RSI can be break down here, and that would be bearish in the short term. But it will be bullish for some people because they might be looking to buy the Nasdaq index around this area. Next, let's take a look at the S&P 500. So S&P 500 looks more bullish than Nasdaq because today we have a huge breakout to the upside, and then we have a pullback, and then still haven't break down into this pattern again. So it looks good in the short term. However, this upside wick is really long. This is not very good because this kind of long wick indicates selling pressure from the bears. So the bulls have to hold on and then keep this as a support in the midterm and short term. If we break down of this pattern inside of this pattern again, that's not very good for S&P 500 either. So the bulls have to keep it up of this line. And take a look at the RSI. So similar to the Nasdaq RSI, we have a 1 touch point, 2 touch point, a breakout. So it's really normal for the RSI to come back and retest this line in the near term. So be very careful, because there's a chance that the RSI can break this line again to the downside and forming my favorite buying pattern. But whether this will happen depends on the next few days and next week. So we have to wait and see. And Dow Jones is in similar shoes. We created a large gap today to the upside, and we have a pullback. So this is very similar to S&P 500. The only thing difference is that in the RSI, the Dow Jones RSI is pointing to the upside, so we don't know if it will come back and retest it, but in my opinion, that's pretty normal. So it could do something like this and then come back and retest it. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. And next, let's take a look at the Fear and Greed Index. So Fear and Greed Index, we are at about 54. This morning, it shot up to about 60 and then come back down again. If we take a look at the time series of the Fear and Greed Index, as I mentioned in my previous video, I said that it formed a bearish head and shoulder pattern. So this is the head, this is the shoulder, this is another shoulder, and then it break down of the to the downside to about 30 or actually 28. And today it break out of this neckline to the upside, so this is a good sign for the bulls. But in the next several days to week, this Fear and Greed Index better not come back down to the 40. If it's less than 40, that would be a trouble for the bulls, because it's possible that the Fear and Greed Index could come back down and retest this low. So be very careful when you're trading for this week and next week. Now let's take a look at some of the individual stocks. So the first one I want to take a look at is GE. This is the one that I mentioned in my previous video. So GE forms a head and shoulder pattern, inverse head and shoulder pattern. So it's a head, shoulder, another big shoulder. So this is the neckline here. Let me adjust the color so you can see it clearly. So today we have a breakout to the upside. Right now it's pulling back to retest this neckline. If it doesn't go back down of this line, and if it keep going up tomorrow and this week and next week, that will be really bullish for GE. And the reason I like GE is because in the monthly time frame, GE has prices going down and the RSI is going up. So this is a bullish divergence, especially in the monthly time frame. And this is the reason I like GE. And right now it just break out today, and we'll see what happens for this week and next week. Next one, let's take a look at BA. So BA, we also have creating a big gap today. A lot of volume come in, so the RSI also shoot up to the upside. This is really good for the bulls for the short term. We'll see if BA can go up here and challenge this recent high at $234. Now Tesla. So Tesla today it go up a little bit, but it break down in the afternoon. A pattern, apparently a lot of people is taking profit right now. So if we take a look at it carefully, we can see that the Tesla is forming an ascending triangle here. This is a bullish pattern. 70% of the time it will break to the upside. So depends on what it does for the next week and the near future. It looks like if it can break down here, touch this line, then go up again, there's a high possibility that Tesla can break out of this line to the upside, then would be really bullish for Tesla. However, if Tesla break down of this line, that will be really bearish for Tesla, especially if it break down of this line and then go down lower than this low, or even this low, or even this one. If it goes lower than this low, that will be really ugly for the near term for the Tesla price. So Apple is in the similar shoes as Tesla. You can see that we have a breakout today and then we have a breakdown. So all of these high-tech stocks looks like they are all pulling back at the moment. This is why Nasdaq doesn't do very good today. So we'll have to see what happens for the next 2 weeks. Now let's take a look at oil. So the crude oil, as I mentioned before, oil breakdown of this line. So we have a price price going down, but the RSI is going up. So you can see that price is going down, the RSI is going up, and this is a bullish pattern. And especially when we have this, a lot of touch point trend line here, touch point, touch point, touch point, breakout, breakdown, resistance, then come break out as a support and then break down again. Right now we just break out again, so this is bullish, and combining with this bullish divergence, it looks like there's a possibility that the oil can be going up in the near term. So the question is for you, are you investing right now? Which one are you in? Are you in cryptocurrency? Are you in Bitcoin? Are you in Ethereum? Are you in stock? Or are you in gold and silver? Or are you in oil? Go down to the comment section and let me know. Alright, so that is the update for today. Thank you guys so much to come back to the channel. My name is Chui. This is your trading and investing channel, Blockchain Thunder. I wish you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.